Good morning, the 25th of May 2023. It's a little chilly, but the weather is so good. Even this few minutes I take making this has its impact on my farming operations. Time is so precious this time of year because you have light and you work till you nearly drop, and that's the way it is. Ryan Circular CYA. CYA stands for Cover Your Arse. Cover Your Arse. That's what it stands for. I mention Ryan because he's the Minister for Energy, but it's all of the government. Now, here is a piece of confidential information. I can't say how I got it. I have my sources. This is, I believe, true. And I cannot discuss anything sensitive on my mobile phones. I can't email. Everything I do was at some stage being monitored. What I cannot tell you is, am I still being monitored? I don't know. But they were definitely interfered with my emails. I had to make new emails, I had to run rings around them, and the way I defeated them was I started talking to people, and what we were talking about was all made up, and it confused them. But they're very, very interested, the state, the government, EirGrid, and the wind farm developers, and the EirGrid and all of them. They're all the one-soused pigs, they're all welded together, so they're all the same. So they can all do all this, and of course if EirGrid couldn't get telecom to tap my phone, illegally, well, there wouldn't be much of a phone of a communications company, because they're partly communications. Excuse me. Anyway, what has happened is that a circular has been issued to all the local authorities. That includes the planning authorities: Dublin Corporation, Fingal County Council, Galway County Council, Cavan, Tipperary, North Riding and all this crack, and Wexford County Council. And the circular simply says that in making decisions on the various laws, that the local authority, the planning authority, the housing part of it, the roads part of it, all of the parts that come under the local authority. Now, river management, funny enough, is the Office of Public Works. They are not responsible for, they are not led or run by the council. Understand that? So if you have a problem with a bridge in County Meath, it's the Office of Public Works deals with it, not the planning authority, not Meath County Council. Understand? So in the area of their responsibilities, and indeed maybe this circular has gone to the Office of Public Works as well, what it says is all staff, all officers making decisions must ensure that the decisions comply with EU law, that their decisions comply with European Union law. Now, you might know, if you've been watching my videos up to now, you might be aware that I've been forcing them to comply with the SCA directive, the EIA directive, the Habitats directive in relation to wind farms and other things, and they have steadfastly said no. I went to the Chester Beatty Library in 2013, and the whole ministers and all were there, Pat Rabbit, and they told me I was wrong. It's a policy. And a man behind me, who was some kind of a professor from a university, told me, you're technically right, but this is soft law and it can't be enforced. Well, he's wrong, because it's not soft law. The whole European Union is founded on the treaties, and these directives that I mentioned, the SCA directive and the others, are all part of the promises that were given to us when we voted for it. So it's hard law, but the thing is, they thought they were getting away with it. Now they're realising they're not. We've already stopped 2 wind farms. We have the case of the Friends of the Irish Environment in the European Court of Justice, in which the Irish government says the whole renewable energy thing is a budgetary thing. It's nothing to do with building these things. It's just a budget. They're going nowhere with that. I'd say at this stage they know it. I made a previous video on the foreshore. They're backing down on that. What happened there was the fisherman went in, or a fisherman went into the High Court, and that's adjourned for 2 months. And he made the point, you just can't come in here and rip up the shore where my fishing beds are. You can't do that. Now, he didn't invoke the SCA directive, but he says you can't do that. This is not taking my thing into account. Now, I hope by the time this comes up again, his lawyers will be fully on board and also include the SCA directive in it, because it's up to these groups to look after themselves. But in any event, it's adjourned for two months. I made a previous video on that there, and it's adjourned for 2 months, and they're now going to amend the Foreshore Act to try and let these crowd in again, and they're going, I've no doubt they're going to ignore the SCA directive. They're not going to do the proper SCA directive. I hope they do. I doubt if they will. So now we have the situation where the government is beginning to realise that there could come a day of reckoning. Don't forget what I will do and other groups will do. We will pull down all the existing junk that's built under the false wind energy guidelines. And people who think that's not going to happen need to look at Derry Brown wind farm. They failed to assess the effect of the turbines on the turf up on the mountain, and it came down and just killed 50,000 fish. And the same happened up in Moneen something up in Donegal as well. And the EU Commission come after them, and they're telling them to take it down. And the Taoiseach of Leo Varadkar has said, either go back to court or take it down. So this is not a cod. This is not foolery. This is the real situation. Excuse me. So slowly but surely, they thought they had idiots here. Now, don't forget, the case with Sweden against the European Investment Bank to comply was only made possible when Mr. Pat Swords, my friend and environmental campaigner and highly qualified man, was able to tell them what the law was in Sweden and Holland. There was no environmental group in either country capable of doing that. It only happened when the barrister happened to appear on the scene in answer to several novenas and prayers I made. Maybe it was good luck. Pat himself says good luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So a barrister in Ireland, a Monaghan man, came on the scene prepared to listen to Pat and has already won his case on the COVID lockdown and got his expenses out of them against their will, and now preparing the cases for Holland and Sweden. And they're gone in there, case T331 of 22, and there's other ones there. And now I have had my little collection, thank you very much, in which we are now having a rider or a carry-on or an intervention based on the back of those two. So our one rides on top here, we're also involved in that. Okay, so a good lot of money. Just by good luck, we were able to pay a good lot of money out in that. Now, but the point about it is, it's Ireland that's doing those things. It's Ireland. It's Ireland that Friends of the Irish Environment, and mind you, they are a leftish type of group, but still, it's Ireland that's in there. But it was Belgium went in on the case of the wind energy guidelines and produced the judgment 2419, in where the European Court of Justice, the highest court, ruled that they can't use the guidelines in Belgium, and I claim they can't use them here either, and that existing wind farms have to be annulled and removed. So there has to be some amount of that sinking in to that thick jackass Eamon Ryan's brains and the dopes in Dublin and the corrupt officials. And they have sent out a circular. To all public authorities, not only on energy, but on all planning, on all housing, on all of that. You must comply with EU law. They don't want to comply with it. Some of these authorities are still going to break EU law. They're going to break EU law, B-R-E-A-K. They're going to break EU law, but it's more difficult for them to break EU law, because if the staff and the decision makers are facing scandal and sanction and inquiries, don't forget Board Pernod officials have already been sacked for corruption. So there may be a good lot of people there who may not be corrupt, that just want to draw. There could be mothers, there could be some lady with a family just trying to get by, and she's faced with this situation. Oh, Val Martin is right, but we can't go along with this. And so I'm tightening the screws all of the time. And now the government sees that they could be in trouble, and they issue a circular, comply with EU law. This is a vain and an attempt to get out of it, to avoid responsibility, and hope that the staff and the people that are employed in the public service will break the law, that they'll break the law. It's like the superintendent. We'd put him stationed in some town and just pick some place. We'd say Carlow. I don't know, is there a superintendent there? If we say Carlow in Ireland, he's the superintendent over, we'd say, maybe 60 policemen of all ranks, and we'd say that there's a politician in the area who he wants to lick up to, and that politician's house is burgled, and the daughters or the wives watch that she got a present or something sentimental value is stolen, and they desperately need to catch somebody, and he says to his investigating Gardaí, probably a detective or something else, get them, lug them in here and interview them and give them a good hard time in there. But the thing about it is they have to have evidence to arrest them in the first place. They may have a couple of suspects, they may not have a couple of suspects, and if they do, they can only bring them in and quiz them and put the evidence together. Of course, he's not happy with that. That might bring no result because they're not solving crimes like they used to, and his staff may not have the skill to do it, and so he implies to them, break the law, or give them a couple of clouts across the head, or do something. You see, I'm not saying that that's what they would do, but he'll find ways. Don't give him a cigarette. A typical way is bring in the prisoner and hold him for 2 days and don't let him get a smoke, and he might admit that he stole the watch. So the superintendent tries to get his staff to skirt the law or break the law without being responsible for it himself. And wise staff say, can I have that in writing? They ask the superintendent, here, will you sign that there, that I can put this fellow in and deny him his rights and deny him what he needs and all that. And the superintendent said, oh, I won't sign that. So this is the very same tactic. I specialise in second guessing my opponents, and this is the very same tactic. Or we'd send out a circular dated May 2023. You must comply with EU law in all your decisions, and then we go back to keeping the very same thing going on again. And this is where the staff are caught, because if they don't break the law, they won't get promoted, and some other idiot will get promoted. And if they do break the law, they could be up on the stand, and they could have me cross-examining them, or my senior counsel, or my lawyers. Why did you do this? I put on so many applications for planning permission. I put submissions in that this is the law, and why did you break it? Oh, we didn't know. This is what they told me in Cavan. We didn't know, the staff in Cavan County Council. We didn't know this was the law. Nobody told us. And yet I write it down, and they chose to break it. And it's on the documents for Rara Wind Farm, where the inspector said it wasn't suitable, and they overruled them, and they said that it's policy that matters. Well, sure, if that was the case, government could do anything it liked. So that's it, folks. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I just want to let you know the way I think. Anyone would say that, oh God, they're going to abide with it now. We can relax. There'll be no more. No, no, no. This is a cover your arse circular to try and distance the government, the civil servants who are as bad as them and all, from the decisions made by the planning authorities, which so far is on Board Pleanála for certain big projects, and all the councils, and then on Board Pleanála after that. And then there's judicial review after that. So you see you see how I think and why they're getting it so hard to beat me, because nobody knows how my brain works. I know exactly what they're at. I'm well able to figure out what they're doing and always be one step ahead. We have the Beliver Wind Farm now into planning, and I'm busy every day making sure that everyone who made a submission has it right, that it's validated and that it's correct. I check over some of them to make sure that they're legally right. So that makes Board Pleanála, it's an SID, Strategic Infrastructure Development, that makes Board Pleanála think, well, before we grant this, we are going to have to break the law. And also the way out of that was that it's a bit iffy what the law is, it's soft law. But with the cases in Europe coming hot and heavy, with all these cases lining up, and the Belgium case 2419 and all that, it's becoming very, very clear that they're not on strong ground, and we'll eventually beat them. So just to rehash again, the circular is gone out to the councils and the local authorities to abide by EU law in the decision-making process. That would appear to mean that they have to say, no, we have to refuse all this energy because it doesn't comply with the SCA directive. But that's not what government is saying. There's a hidden agenda. It's the governments are saying, you break the law, but we're not taking accountability. We're not taking accountability. We're going to throw it over on you. And anyone in the planning authority or anyone in the local authority that falls for that, and it is idiotic enough to fall for that, will end up in an inquiry and be named in a report, and their name will be scandaled for the next 500 years, because these things tend to be on the public record, and your children and your grandchildren will be able to read where Johnny Joe McGorty was found to have broken the law and caused the destruction of the Irish environment, both on and offshore, by a judge in an inquiry. That's what you're dealing with. I don't know, is there any criminal convictions? I don't think there is, but that is what they're at. Folks, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We'll see you back for something else.